Hey everyone, it's Ivan, kitbadger.com, out here for another gear review, and today talking about that little guy right there, which is the Chase Tactical roll-up dump pouch. What is it? It is exactly what it sounds like. It is a dump pouch that ultimately will roll up and store, or when you need it, you can just open that thing up and you're good to go. Store empty magazines, ammo, sensitive item, whatever you need in there, and yeah, holds actually quite a bit. Dimensionally, I think 7 inches by 12 inches, but it has some pretty cool features, which I will go over. Right here is the dump pouch. It is made of 500D Cordura. Down here you have eyelets, let debris, water, whatever it is, drain out. And then on the inside here, you actually have this pull tab, or sorry, this shock cord rather, which, as you can see, there's this little liner right here to where you can cinch this tight, really tight, and even run that piece right here, that cord lock, and whatever's in there absolutely will not come out. Honestly, I don't really ever use it like that. Usually I will just leave it open like that, chuck stuff in there. And to roll this up, you're pretty much just, as the name implies, rolling this thing up to where you end up with, you can kind of tuck in the sides a little bit if you want to make it prettier, make it take up a little bit less space, but to where you get to where you have this Velcro field, which corresponds with this. Throw that over there. And then on the back side, you have all of this different PALS webbing to include this up here where I actually have it mounted on the belt. And this is actually a cool feature which I will speak to. The way this is mounted, and real quick, I guess I'll go over this belt because someone's inevitably going to ask. This belt right here it's a 2-piece battle belt. I don't have the inner belt right here from Bear Solutions. Up here is a double pistol mag pouch by Blue Force Gear. These right here are the immediate access pouch by EMDOM Military Morons. It's on a drop clip, I believe it is, from Ridgeline. Back here, what we're talking about, this roll-up dump pouch. AMTAC Blades battle axe. Then over here is the True North Concepts modular holster adapter with the QLS, I guess it is, and then a thigh strap hanger by Carey Concealment. But back to this. The way I have this mounted, and you can obviously mount it wherever to include with this PALS compatible webbing directly onto, well, anything with PALS. So think battle belt, you can put it on a cummerbund of a plate carrier, on a whatever you want to do with it. I like it right here. And with these tabs that are there, the way it mounts, I really like it because it sits a little bit lower. So instead of taking a mag and reaching way up, you're just bringing it back. Like honestly, when this thing is deployed, and as you can see by the belt, you're actually bringing it below your belt line, which makes it way easier to actually dump stuff in, or if you need to, retrieve stuff out. And because this is moving independently of your belt, which is really nice, unlike some which are kind of hard attached to it, if you're moving dynamically, this is basically, some Velcro back there, this is basically moving on its own independent of your body with, we'll say, some partial magazines, whatever. So you have some weight in here. So this is doing its own thing while you're doing your thing, versus if this is attached directly to you, every input you put is straight into it. So sometimes dump pouches are fairly rigid, and if they're hard mounted to your belt and you're moving around to include going prone, whatever it may be, now your dump pouch is just open sideways and you're chucking stuff out of it. Versus this, when you go prone, like it's still gonna go prone with you, but it'll move in a manner different from your belt. Probably not getting the point across, maybe I am, but that is actually a really neat feature. Which brings me to how have I used this? I've actually used it quite a bit. One, I've used it in classes, I believe, well, probably a number of classes. The one that comes to mind straight off the top of my head was actually a no-fail carbine class with Chuck Pressburg. Amazing class. And in it, I was actually shooting a Spear LT by SIG in 7.62 by 39. Use this whole setup to include this dump pouch. More often than not, for me personally, it's handy during classes for no other reason than, hey, it's time to police up your stuff and we're gonna go load mags. So grab mags, throw them in there. Or depending on the class, I will absolutely tack reload and put a partial in, because again, depending on structure, it'll be like, hey, we're gonna do a drill, it's gonna take 10 rounds. Make sure you have 10 rounds in your gun. So check, like, oh, pretty light, new one in, old one out, and yeah. But then get back from the firing line and go top up mags. Or honestly, if I'm going somewhere where I'm gonna need more mags than I have on me, think back to the firing line, I will fill this with full magazines, get up to the firing line, dump them so I can actually work on drawing mags out of my mag pouches, and then as I need them, just bump magazines from the ground into there. The other place I will say I used it most recently was actually in a competition over in Finland, Finnish Brutality 2025. Amazing competition. And the way that competition is structured also is, man, penalties are steep. To include, if you leave any gear on the field, by the time you break your last shot, 60-second penalty, which is a lot when it's a 4-minute par time. So don't leave stuff. And there's stages where, for the sake of safety, you'll end up shooting, we'll say, a course of fire with a rifle. You will drop your mag, you will need to retain it. You'll have a high value shot to shoot. After that, you now have a empty rifle, so you can safely do whatever, to include maybe ski to the next station. At which point you need to conduct more shooting. And so depending on how many different stations there are, you could very well just go through a ton of magazines and now this whole thing is just full of all partial magazines. Or you can very easily, which I did, reach in, grab my magazine out of there, charge up the gun, do the shooting I needed, take that magazine, drop it back in the dump pouch, shoot, and continue on. And this honestly did really good for me there. Do you need a dump pouch? I don't know. As I mentioned, there's a lot of utility for me personally in just shooting courses, to include competitions sometimes. And where these really shine too, depending on the training you're doing, obviously is in a shoot house, or things along those lines where you do some shooting, you're paying attention to the shooting you're doing, and you're like, man, starting to feel a little bit light. Tack reload, throw your partial in a dump pouch. Hopefully you don't eventually need it later, but if you do, pretty easy to retrieve. And if you're not using this, really easy to just roll this thing up and it's out of your way. And on top of that, as I mentioned and showed you, this whole thing basically gets fairly compact and down below your belt line. So it just moves some stuff off of your belt line, which when everything's totally full, whether you have a med kit back here, whatever it may be, it's nice to get things a little bit lower. And from my personal experience, I definitely appreciate dropping things below my belt line rather than having to come up higher to get a partial or empty mag into my dump pouch. But if it's something you're interested in, there will be a link down below. You can go check it out. But as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.